Dear human beings of 2026, have you read Romans chapter 1, specifically verses 21 through 23? There is a lot of gold here. Actually, it's kind of more like a warning, a heads up, but it speaks so much to me, and I believe that a lot of us are going to look at this and say, this would never be me. And yet, God is giving us this warning for a reason. Let's look at verse 21. It was talking about people who decided to dishonor God, not thank him, not acknowledge him as God. You could even consider people like Adam and Eve, the Israelites, throughout periods of time, all the way till today, people who have dishonored God. This is what it looks like. And so verse 21 finishes off saying that these people came up with foolish ideas of what God was like, and as a result, their minds became dark and confused. Well, we could assume like, okay, I get it, like dark, confused, like you don't know where you're going. But literally these people, because they decided to walk away from God, to not obey God, they took God out of the equation. And because of that, they didn't know right from wrong. And so sure enough, verse 22 goes on to say, they claimed to be wise, and instead they became utter fools. So these same people who used to hear God say, hey, this is the way, and they decided, actually, no, we're going to go with our way. Eventually, they thought, we actually know better. Our human wisdom is enough for us to choose our own way of life. My opinion matters more than you, God. Kind of sounds like a lot of us today. Verse 23 eventually says, and instead of worshiping the glorious, ever-living God, they worshipped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. This takes me back to the Israelites, how they decided, hey, well, we're impatient. We're just going to create our own calf. We're going to create a gold calf and worship it. Eventually, it led to that point. And I asked myself, how can you go from seeing God's miracles, wonders, like God, sure, he's invisible, but he's making himself evident. How is it that you go from that to worshiping a calf? Or other animals, like here it says animals like reptiles, birds, and such, and people themselves. How do you go from 0 to 60 like that? And I believe the answer is it's all the tiny decisions that we make, from dishonoring God, thinking less of him, not obeying him, not doing it his way, not trusting him. It leads us to a point of idolatry. And I read a passage like this and I ask myself, God, is there something in me? Is there a trace of this inside of me? And if yes, God, would you speak into it? Because I need to learn from this.